Hi and welcome back. This is Casey. I am continuing on with an iris reading. I just completed the left iris for this person, and that was video or iris reading number 11. And so this would be iris reading number 12. So we're going to go on to the right eye. And as a quick recap, we discussed in the previous video the concept or the phenomena known as brain fog. So we have this congestion in the head and brain area, inflammation and lymphatic congestion. We have overall a good amount of inflammation in the entire body. And we have in this eye, we're seeing the bright white turn more into some subdued sort of yellowing. And when you see yellow, that can be indicating the presence of sulfur. It can also be indicating the lymphatic system congestion moving from acute to subacute. So while I'm here, I'm just sort of hovering in this area. This is a chronic adrenal gland right here. Chronic. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there is more lymphatic congestion, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is not turning into the subacute level in this iris, just because the adrenal directly related to the kidney is in a chronic to subacute level in this iris. Let's see what else. We're seeing, again, the presence of a fairly prominent skin ring. The skin ring, generally speaking, being related to the health of the thyroid gland, and the thyroid and the parathyroid coming up in that left eye reading. And also signs of parathyroid weakness throughout the body. So we have signs of parathyroid weakness in the condition of spider veins, some varicose veins, any kind of weakness or compromise in the connective tissue and bones. We have a low calcium level. We have issues with absorption, malabsorption, which we can see in this area in here. We saw this in the other iris, so we definitely have malabsorption going on. We have issues going on in the stomach area, likely a hypo-functioning stomach. And then we have sort of this, I don't want to say, well, maybe I do. It's somewhat of a spasticity in the entire bowel wall. And interestingly enough, in the left iris, it was actually pretty much the same. We had a thicker skin ring in the left iris, and that's related to the lung area. The lungs are over here. And we also had more of a distension in the large intestine. And this person does experience abdominal distension. So I'm guessing that that may be coming from the large intestine, because when you look at the large intestine as compared to the small intestine, we do have stuff going on in the small intestine for sure. A little bit of pocketing, a little bit of spasticity. But when we look at the large intestine, we can see it extends further out. And that, again, could relate to the parathyroid, to a bit of weakness in the tissue structure itself. Let's see. We could also be looking at the possibility of a prolapsing in the transverse colon, which we talked about in the last video. So with this clouds of lymph and clouds of inflammation, also known as brain fog, it could well be that it is descending down upon the transverse colon to where you're not able to see the delineation of the actual bowel wall in this area. It could also be that we do have a prolapsing in this area, which would make sense with the, paired with the concept that there is a challenge with the parathyroid. Okay, so what else are we seeing in this iris that we didn't see in the left eye? So we're going to see in the left eye, we find the heart, and we covered that in the last video. And in the right eye, we're going to be able to see the location of the liver and gallbladder. So I'm going to take a quick look at my computer program. Oh, okay. So again, I'm seeing the ovary, a bit of congestion right here. I saw some in the left ovary as well. So this would be an area this person would like to clean up, are the ovaries on both sides. So right in here. And then just want to take a look at the liver. It does look like there is some congestion. I'm not seeing any big genetic weakness in the liver or gallbladder, but just the fact that there are challenges with digestion of fats, and as we know, the liver produces the bile and the gallbladder distributes that in order to aid the digestion of fat. And there is a challenge for this person in digesting fat. So I wanted to see what the liver looked like. This is the liver area right here. And yes, there's a lot of congestion. There's some inflammation, but I'm not seeing any genetic weakness in that area. Okay. So let's take a look at the pancreas, which should be right above the ovary. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of genetic weakness in the pancreas, but just like the liver, gallbladder, if you're having challenges with digestion, there could be something going on in the pancreas. So this is the pancreas area right in here. And then this is the liver, gallbladder right in here. What I'm more interested in, I want to see what this little lacuna, what it shows up on in my software. I mean, it's essentially the arm, a little bit into the gallbladder actually. So we're sort of reaching into the gallbladder in this area, and then we have the right arm right here. So I take that back. The gallbladder itself and the duodenum, which is interesting because I mentioned that in the last video. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine that is receiving the alkalizing enzymes and the bile produced by the liver and secreted by the gallbladder in order to cool down the contents of the stomach as it passes into the small intestine. So there absolutely could be something going on in this gallbladder area, not as much the liver that I can see. Again, it's covered by some lymphatic congestion and inflammation, but the gallbladder itself and the duodenum look like they have a genetic weakness right in that area. And then this area here is the right breast. So this would be the right breast. A bit of a lacuna or opening in the iris fibers there. And this whole entire section is the lung and the chest area. And again, the skin ring is pretty thick in this area, indicating that there could be some weakness in the lung and chest area. And this definitely, this little area right here where the large intestine, I already mentioned this, but it's calling to me again. The way it sort of juts out could absolutely be reflecting some kind of weakness in the large intestine on that side. So this would be the ascending colon. And that could be related to the parathyroid. It could be some diverticula, distension. There could be some pocketing. There could be some mucoid plaque. There could be some parasitic or bacterial action going on in that area. Overall, and I think I mentioned this for this person, just because based on their health history and then based on what I'm seeing in the digestive system, I would be really looking at the digestive system as a point of focus. I would be using the GI broom primarily. In fact, if I had to choose between the GI broom and then the GI Renew capsules, I would go for the GI broom, because you want to be pulling out, physically pulling out. Pulling has a lot of astringent qualities in that formula. You want to be pulling those toxins out of the bowel wall, out of the small intestine, and out of the stomach. So I would absolutely recommend that formula. I would also recommend that you be taking alkalizing powder formulas. So, and some of these are actually ingredients in the GI broom, but I would recommend you be taking aloe. And if you're not fortunate enough to have the giant aloe leaves available to you in your grocery store, which I do, I'm so grateful. And what I do is I slice open the leaf and I pull out the gel, and then I usually blend that into some, like my grape smoothie or my grape juice or whatever. But you can also get dried aloe powder, and along with that I would be doing marshmallow root powder and slippery elm powder. And these are all demulcents, so they're going to add some hydration and slipperiness and alkalinity to soothing. They're very soothing, so they're going to help calm down inflammation within the GI tract. So I would recommend those. Again, these, I think all three of those are in the GI broom, but if it were me, I would get those also individually and be adding them to any kind of smoothies or green drinks, maybe once a day. Maybe you do GI broom in the morning or the evening, and then in the opposite of that, you do these other powders. Okay. So again, this area in here is the neck area. So we have the neck and shoulders showing up in the right and the left side. kind of more, we're still into the lungs in here, but we're starting to get into the neck right in here. We have let's see, I believe on the other side we saw the lower jaw. I'm gonna look over here and see if we see the lower jaw in this iris, but definitely the neck. Okay, yeah, so this little area right here is the lower jaw. And I don't know if I highlighted it in the last video, but it did come up on the left side as well. And then this little lacuna in this area in here would be related to the eye itself. Sort of going into the forehead zone, but I'm seeing it as the actual eye. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I'm seeing. I'm seeing a few lymphatic tophi, like one down in the hip area in here, close to the periphery of the iris, but definitely there could be some inflammation in the hip on the right side. Seeing this area right in here, just like in the left iris, there was some inflammation in that thigh, knee, foot. Anytime you have a condition going on in any, whether left kidney or right kidney, it a lot of times is going to affect the anatomy just adjacent to that. So in this case, it would be that thigh. Closer probably actually down, if this is thigh, knee, foot, it would be closer to the bottom of the leg, but there does look to be inflammation in that whole area. So something going on in the hip for sure, something going on thigh, knee, foot. We talked about the kidney and the adrenal. I think the adrenal is more the issue. The adrenal is more chronic. The kidney is a little bit more acute or subacute. And we spoke to the small intestine and the large intestine and the SIBO and the IBS in the left iris, so I'm going to leave that, but just know they are pretty much exactly the same reflected in the right and left irises. And I think that's it. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to answer them. All right, take care and bye for now.